I do it for passion and I enjoy it. And it's interesting to be able to share it and just to see the positivity and see the interest it generates. Yeah, it's something I'm happy to put time in to share. But if you guys like seeing it, let us know. Feel free to like and subscribe, guys. I know it sounds like a bit of a grab, but I guess it keeps.
No, I was literally going to bait you into that. So for the next video, let us know what you want to do. If we want more detail in it, if you want us to go through all the bits and bobs. I just enjoy chatting in general, don't you?
No.
Wait. Oh. Script. Who needs it? Me, actually. What's it like being a small girl in the big city?
I find wearing a school uniform really helps.
I guess that'll do it. Sorry, wrong interview. Other side. Let's find out about the machine. People don't know about this. What machine and setup are you using?
This one is an Okuma LB3000 space turn. It's a MIC 950. So it has 4 axes live tooling, the fourth being a Y-axis, so I can drill holes off center. So which is, for what we do for the company here, it's quite useful because we can put different features on things without having to do different operations.
All I got from that was Y-axis, Y! This is the brass we're using?
Yeah, so we use that for the crankcase.
For our American viewers, aluminum?
Nope.
Nope, just not, straight up no.
So the common materials we use here, which is what we made the engine out of, is a 352 or a 385 brass and 6061 T6 aluminium. So this is generally what people sort of promote as being like an aircraft grade material and stuff like that. It's got really good mechanical properties, and machinability wise, it's quite friendly.
That makes you sound really smart.
Moving on.
Sound. All right. Oh God, this thing's heavier than I expected. And this
is what I've made so far.
This is going to be the finished product, and you'll see this running at the end with all the little pika 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 pika, like all the noises and whatnot that it makes. Can you tell that I have ADHD?
Essentially, this is a project I took on because I was watching Facebook. I was watching Facebook.
What made you choose this build?
I was watching a Facebook video late at night, and I saw there was a guy his video was titled, I think he spent 500 hours making one of these. I thought it looked interesting. I wanted to make a model for work that sort of encompassed all of our different manufacturing techniques, whether it be additive, so SLS printing, resin printing, or CNC machining.
Resin printing?
We also do surface texturing, so there's powder coating, there's polishing, there's all those sorts of things as well. So I thought if I could make something that was at least interesting to look at for people, as well as showcasing everything that we do and giving people, I guess, an idea so they know the right questions to ask.
Well, it's a very handsome build, and I will say that you have chosen the right project. We'll get that off screen now. You can see all the bits and bobs later. Everyone just relax. I know you're jumping out of your chairs like, why'd you get rid of it? We haven't. It's still there. I broke it. Where did you get the design?
There's actually a really cool community called GrabCAD. So essentially, it's just a community of people that put up models. So you can grab models for, like, if you want to 3D print like a Jinjarin, like is on our light tower here.
Or Jessica Alba.
Things like that. It's just all sorts of different drawings. Essentially just a community of people that come together and they just share ideas. They share ways to do things. People have concepts, they put them on there. I got an email from him yesterday. NASA run competitions through there.
NASA?
Yeah.
Like the space?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be redundant anyway with Elon Musk. It doesn't matter.
So they run competitions through there regarding like when they want to design different stuff. So yeah, I was lucky enough. I stumbled across this model by a guy, Wolfgang.
Classic Wolfgang. We love you, brother.
Who actually messaged me back.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. Sounds like every girl ever that I try and talk to, they never message me back. So
it took a month and they said, go away.
One up on me.
So I sort of just, took the design, sent him a message saying what we wanted to do with it. Yeah, got his blessing as well, which is good.
So Wolfgang, good work. We're using it. Don't have a choice. You put it out for free. It's ours now.
Don't need to say that to you.
Look at me. I'm the engine now.
Cut that out.
I don't know. I can edit around it. Okay, here we go. Here's an interesting question. How did you get it from the CAD model to the machina?
So we use
Machine.
we use Fusion 360 here for a lot of our design. It also has the CAM component, so you can take a model, send it through the processors, and then add machining paths and contours, which it has a post for this machine. The other way is this Okuma come out with conversational, so it's IGF is what it's called. It's got one touch and two touch. So the one touch being you can essentially have the back end set up and you can program in that you want a particular feature, say in a made hole, and it will pick, I need to spot drill it, and then send a tap into it. Pretty much draw lines on a page and the machine does the rest and converts it for you. So I use the later method.
That's very interesting, and I totally understood absolutely everything from that. But yes, that is fantastic, Nathan. Thank you very much. Quick little wet my whistle. Look, you got me on board. You made a mistake, okay? You made a horrible mistake. Here we go. Here's something that for later in the build, people will see and be like, what are you doing? You will notice he didn't use coolant for a lot of it, for a lot of the cutting. Tell us why.
Yeah, look, it just doesn't work for film.
Yeah. We did it for you.
This is the low pressure variant, so it comes out at 1.6 MPa. It's got both through tool and external, so by the time you start splashing that around, the poor GoPro's got no chance. It'd be similar to a windscreen on a submarine, really.
Yeah.
Just looking at water.
For those people that are like, you cut dry, you bad. Yeah.
We are printing an air knife that fits around the cage. So.
Yeah, we'll get there. With the gantry majiggery.
Oh,
what is it? Yeah, that thing's crazy.
I'm essentially
motions. It's going to be crazy.
Essentially building a 5-axis rig that I'm using a Masso CNC controller to program.
So then that would be a 9-axis machine? Oi! No. That's not how that works. We've said enough about this. I'm going to have to cut a lot of that down because I think we've been chatting for like 2 or 3 minutes, but I just enjoy chatting in general. Don't you?
No.
Wait. Oh. I was about to say we're very compatible as two people that chat, but all good. First up is the body. Tell us about how you machined it. Tell us the process.
So essentially everything we've done here, I try to keep to 2 ops, front and back. We've got enough versatility in the machine that pretty much get to everything as long as you set it up right. Pretty much all the front features towards the front of the engine are all done from one side because they all time to each other. So you actually see with on the front face where it's got the 3 planetary gears, there's a reference hole which is about 10 degrees above one of them, and then above that is piston number 1. So that flat is actually horizontal, where at the same line as one of the planetary wheels. And essentially everything times from that in the engine. So as the build progresses and everything stacks on and everything goes more and more and more, so that has to do with the cam wheels that go on that push the push rods, that have to do with the crank turning and the piston timing. It all builds from that point. So the crank was the most important thing to sort of set right. So I did all the features I could from one side, turned it around, used a dial off that flat, which became the datum for the number 1 piston, and then set the one
that I filmed purposely off.
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that set everything else. And then from that point on, it was just a sequence of just marrying everything up to that and going from there on and then making everything work.
Yeah. So essentially it was, so we had a base plate to put all the parts onto.
Yeah, and it sets whether the whole thing's going to work or not.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the most important part.
Yeah.
And
so,
you nailed it, might I say, sir. Some would call you a genius.
no.
Being humble for once. You should hear him off camera. I love it. Okay, let's move on to the cylinders.
So yeah, so the cylinders and the heads, there was a fair bit of forgiveness in them. Essentially just had to marry up a bolt pattern that mounted onto the body. There is a cylinder liner that goes inside that's held captive by the head when it's bolted on. So I guess all the tight tolerances were held in that. And it was just a case of making what I think would work aesthetically from the drawing. So there's a couple of certain radiuses I just sort of took some liberty on, and then obviously grooves. We're not looking to cool this engine because it's not going to run, it's just a model. So it was just what I thought would look good.
Yeah, this was all the test runs essentially.
Yeah, and just sort of
for the running model.
I guess the finish that I wanted as well, as far as some things I didn't need to make them as thin as what they were drawn. I could add a bit of beef in there and stuff like that, and just I guess cut times down and just make my life a little bit easier.
Totally agree. Happy machinist, happy but filmographist.
Yes.
I'd definitely cut that out. Just in that section, you covered cylinders, heads, and sleeves. Were there any issues that you ran into that you needed to solve with your master programming, might I say?
Not really. It was just adding tolerances from that point and what clearances I thought were applicable.
Okay, so tolerances and clearances, those for other people that don't know, because of course I know, but yeah.
It's giving it room so shit doesn't bind up.
Yeah, it's real, man.
Looking at having enough clearance that the piston would function once it warmed up a bit, as well as having tight enough clearances that you weren't creating a flame path if we did decide to put fuel in it.
You mean when we decide to put fuel in it?
But yeah, it's just getting everything so that it's got a good action when you turn it by hand at the end.
So if you were to describe that in 5 words, what would it be?
Tolerances.
Good. Pistons.
Pistons. Now they were fun.
As opposed to pissed offs.
They're actually really cool. I machined them with grooves in them so that I could put piston rings in them later if I wanted to.
Which we still might if we have to for the next one.
Yeah.
If it comes down to it, it's not that difficult, right?
No, I'll probably
not for you.
I'll probably just get our guy to print them out of SLS because the nylon's stable up to about 200 degrees. So.
Oh yeah, I guess the top of the piston only gets up to like 200 or 300 degrees. So
yeah, like it's
the ring should be fine,
and it's brief.
Yeah,
like the prop does the cooling. So
well, whoever's playing, like some hobbyist playing, whoever we strap, like you said,
if it ceases and crashes, we just run.
Yeah, we just run and just leave the motor there and bail, and someone's like beautiful plane has been destroyed. Which is,
I could always make another one.
Yeah,
so can they.
Yeah, exactly. Well, unless they bought the plane, but
give them some purpose.
We'll see. Maybe one of the very helpful Redditors, which I will add in that there have been some very helpful Redditors.
It's actually been really good.
The Reddit community, as far as machining goes, is insanely positive. We haven't had a negative comment. Everybody absolutely loves what we're doing. They love to see it. Like, they're enjoying it as much as we are.
I think
building this.
I think the only thing they don't like is how slow you are putting the videos together. But everyone's just sort of chipped in and helped where they could. And there's been quite a few of them actually have sort of made me stop and go, actually, that's a really good point.
Yeah, people are calling it a piece of jewelry, but it's actually going to run. And I've never seen jewelry run. Well, when it's attached to a thief.
You end up with a neck injury hanging around your neck. Yeah. You should put just a big chain on it, be like Flavor Flav. I dated a girl who...
Okay, and the Conrods, which stand for
Connecting rods.
Connecting. I thought contemporary.
Now, them I'm not settled on yet. Not really knowing anything about these engines before I started this. And not knowing they had a master rod.
Yeah.
So yeah, not knowing that they actually ran with a master rod, but a few people out there let me know they have one and they're supposed to have one.
That's why the community is so good.
So I got anything from, I'd say, abuse to quite technical answers of how how master rods work, which I'm grateful for both. I was kind of a little bit lazy with the Conrods as far as machining detail. I kind of got them close enough. I put 2 holes in them the right distance apart. And then I just sanded the shit out of them to make them work.
Next is the crank. Tell us about that and any issues that might have come up.
Didn't use the tail stop,
Yeah.
so just ran second passes. So essentially there's 2 bearing journals, a keyway for that sort of times it with the planetary gears, and then a thread on the end for the nose cone that holds the prop on there. As far as lubrication goes, I'm hoping by hand it won't need it. With the one that we fuel up, the fuel mix we're using is for RC cars, so it has a castor oil component, so that will lubricate it. I'm not putting seals anywhere, so for the idea is essentially it's just going to blow oil everywhere, and that's what's going to lubricate it. It has castor oil in the fuel.
Castor oil?
Yeah, castor oil.
Not for cooking?
No.
What's castor oil used for?
Race bikes.
Ooh.
The beauty about castor oil
So we have to put this thing on a bike, is what you're saying?
the beauty about castor oil is as you run it, you drop it out of the engine, you decant it, and you just lose 10%, you put it back in.
Now, something that I thought that was pretty cool was the valve assembly.
Fidgety.
Yeah, very fidgety, but I like that kind of small stuff because, you know, I used to repair arthroscopes. Humble brag. Go on.
I'm still in awe of your story.
What?
Repairing others.
I used to repair arthroscopes, you know, for medical and things like that. Yeah, so...
I used to make hips. Like literal hips.
I'll message my grandma and tell her to send you a thank you message.
Yeah, the valve assembly. So the valve assembly essentially was just a, just like the valve guide was a single piece with what pressed into the head. Had a hole in the side for clearance for the inlet and exhaust. And then, yeah, just the valve went through it. And then I just grabbed some springs from Bunnings, like a Home Depot or...
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of Americans.
Or Rona, or if you're in Canada, I guess.
Rona?
Yeah.
Horrible name with the slang terms for current viruses.
My favourite store was Roots.
Yeah.
I used to get kicked out there all the time. Normally valves are held in, they have a couple of tapered collets that you depress all the spring assembly and then put the tapered collets in, and then when the hat that's on top of the spring comes up, it grabs on the collets and it grabs on the shaft of the valve. Didn't go to that extreme with this, it's a model.
But we will for the running version.
Probably rather see it come apart.
Yeah.
It should hold.
So, push rods.
Push rods are easy. Essentially just turning a ball on each end with the 5mm shaft in between.
With the push rod, you did it in 2 parts.
Yeah, so I machined it out of 19mm. So I did the front radius and pretty much both radiuses on the ball joint at the front in one step, and with plenty of material behind it so it didn't flex away, and then
Pushed it out.
Yeah, and then proceeded to do the rest so that it was done in 2 stages.
Yeah.
That way I wouldn't get too much deflection and I could maintain size, and that way I could get reasonably good blends on the radiuses.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to program the machine to allow for the flex, which I found is an interesting thing that you can actually do.
You can program for taper, yeah.
Yeah, so. Taper, that's what I meant. Okay, and the push rods go to the lifters.
Well, yeah, the lifters drive the push rods, which then go up to the rockers. Now, the rockers I ended up making, essentially I just turned a radius in one end of them and then put a thread on the other end. So that gave me some adjustments. So they actually screw through the tops of the rockers, and then there's nuts on top to lock them in position. So what that does is it allows me to assemble everything, and when there's no load, I can actually adjust everything so that there's just that little bit of pre-tension on the valves, so that when the cam comes round, it's not pushing in free air, it's actually acting on the valve.
Okay, that covers lifters. Gears.
Did them with a single point thread milling tool. It's a metric one, so 60 degrees. I did that in a live tool holder, pointing out in the X direction, and then I used the Y axis to actually come off center, step up, come across to the center of the 90 degrees, and then it essentially just milled its way through to cut the V, and then index the C axis, and then rinse and repeat until you've got your gear profile.
Gears are cool. We all love gears. Gears, great.
Make the world go round.
Not gears, bad gears, not bad.
Good
How many
chat.
beers have we had? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm cool to Ralph. Okay, and now cam wheels.
Cam wheels, so
No, wheels.
wheels. Essentially, it was just setting a milling profile with the live tooling. I followed the dimensions that Wolfgang put in there as close as I could, as far as setting duration and stuff like that, because obviously they determine how long valves are open and valves are closed. When valves open and close, sets the timing for the engine. So, interesting. Essentially two pieces that screw together, one of which has a internal spline pattern, which gives it the rack side of a rack and pinion setup.
Is that the outsidey one?
No, so that's the gear on the inside.
Yeah, so we have the gear on the inside, then we have the 3 on the outside,
Planetary set, yep.
and then the outside.
And then the cam wheel locates on those planetary wheels. So it's essentially, the crank is driving a 66 tooth gear, driving 3 33 teeth gears, and then the one on the inside, but the back of the cam wheel is 133 teeth, I think, from memory. So that's what gives you a reduction ratio. So every time the crank does a full rotation, the cam wheel does a half.
Okay.
Because it's a 4-stroke engine, so you need everything acting at half the speed as what the crank's spinning. Because 4-stroke being 4 cycles, up, down,
Yeah.
down. Or sorry, down, up, down, up. So that's what gives you that ratio.
I understand everything.
Absolutely.
Last bit, cam housing.
Again, it was a 2-up part.
Really pretty.
Yes, I like it. Essentially, that's one that you're timing everything. The holes through the side are parallel to the center, but not on center. And they're also offset to interact with the 2 cam wheels. So one for inlet, one for exhaust. And then they obviously line up with the 7-hole pattern that it bolts to the front of the crankcase with. And the timing of those is important because it means that when you put it all together, where the lifters pop out is going to line up with the push rods that line up with the rockers. So yeah, it was just sort of important getting all that relative to each other.
Now we're on to final thoughts. Displacement. This is something that a lot of people have asked on Reddit.
It's a 24mm bore, 22mm stroke. I'm not that good at maths.
Quick math.
So I think from what I could work out, it's like 3.98 cc's per cylinder times 7 cylinders. So it comes out just under 28 cc's.
Which is crazy for that size.
About half the size of a moped.
This thing is going to be crazy.
Maybe.
Maybe we should put it on a small moped, or maybe we upscale it in the future to like a 125.
A small moped or a big fairy floss machine?
Fairy floss machine. I reckon that's an awesome idea. Powered by that. I mean, it tastes like gasoline, but it'd be delicious, right?
Not my problem.
You said
they're well driven. They'll separate.
Yeah, you said that the gas with the castor oil.
Yeah.
It's quite sweet. I think we're onto something.
Smells sweet, doesn't taste sweet.
Huh. Well, it'll smell sweet while it's making the sweet. Sweet.
Sweet.
Are you happy with the process? If not, what would you change?
Process-wise, I'm happy with it. I guess it was kind of one of those things. I felt a lot of the way through as I've gone. I Had no knowledge of these engines previously. It was a case of I just took what was in front of me and just had a crack. And then as I've gone through, there's certain things I've had to change or adjustments I've made, or I've sort of done what I can to make everything sort of mesh together as best I could. But yeah, process-wise, look, everything's set now. Beauty of this machine is it remembers.
Yeah.
So for the 120 odd hours that this owes me to make another one now, it's probably about a quarter of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you know, the initial setup and everything, your time and effort is valuable-ish. I mean, you're pretty crap. But besides, it's set up. It can run more. If people would like them for the future, if people would want to actually buy a kit.
I've retired.
Not bad, huh?
No. To be honest, look.
If someone wants to buy a kit, would you make one for them?
I mean, I would. I think one of my friends put it to me best. He said, "This is something that will actually outlive me."
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite poetic.
Yeah. Or you're going to die soon. Yeah.
I've never actually looked at things I've made in a sense that they will outlast me.
Yeah.
Or what they are. Like, it's generally just making something for its function, and at the consumer end, it's a consumable, and it works for 5 years and goes in the bin.
Yeah, exactly. This will last forever.
Yeah, hopefully. Whereas this is something I'm actually quite proud of.
Look, man, there's random stone carvings that have lasted thousands and thousands of years, so I assume this will last longer.
And they were probably just directions to the toilet.
Not in Pompeii. They were directions to the whorehouse.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen the lava prostitutes.
They had the right idea.
It's such a weird... I've never used that in a sentence. So glad I finally got to.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy with how it's all gone so far.
Yeah, it's an amazing project, man. Like, I'm absolutely stoked with every part of this entire thing, and being able to be a part of this is just a dream come true.
To me, it's just like a jigsaw puzzle that you buy.
I'm glad Make-A-Wish Foundation let me come and do this.
Fuck. That's
Too soon?
Out.
Yeah. Too much. What is next to finish this? Basically, our part 2.
Yeah.
So next time on Stitched Up.
We've got to make the prop that we're going to carve out of wood.
Yep.
I'm going to be terrible at it.
You've seen my carving. I carved a deer head into a knife.
We need to make the nose cone pieces that hold on the impeller.
Yep.
And then it's hand bending copper tube for the exhaust and inlet pipes. And then a couple of little fittings that go on them so they can thread in. The carby.
Yeah.
And then fitting the carby.
Carby and plugs.
Yeah, oh yes. And then we've got to drill angled holes in the heads to take the glow plugs. So we're using RC glow plugs. There's a basic circuit we're going to build with them. It's 1.5 volts, I think 0.2 amps. And you're only giving it like a second charge.
Yeah.
So I want to do something that's just just touch a button. And it just sort of hits all 8, and then you can flip it.
Yeah, well, this shop has enough electronics in it, you'll be fine.
You'd hope so.
You'd hope so. Okay, 5 more things for the next video. It's going to be a little bit tedious. Maybe the next one will be a little bit shorter or just more detailed in the explanation if people want that.
Just a lot more handwork, I think.
Yeah.
Versus manipulating machines, we'll be manipulating materials by hand. Yeah, look, happy to answer any questions. Like things like this, for me, I do it every day, so I gloss over a lot of the technical things or the things that are just commonplace or just you just do because it's routine. Yeah. Whereas people have a lot of questions about those kinds of things, like that, like why we go about things a certain way, or why a certain process is done the way it is, or what the benefit of doing it one way over the other. So I think feel free to just sort of add everything you want, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. Only a stupid answer. Yeah, swing us any comments in the YouTube's comments section, and we will answer them as we go. He answers every question, surprisingly. Let's try and do that for like the first bit. See how many comments we can actually answer. Yeah. If it does go insane, it could be like 10. Who knows? But if it's like, I don't know, 100,000,
you got your work cut out for you. Because I can't answer the technical questions.
And I think as well, like if you have suggestions, because I'm not so much a creative type. So if there's something,
It's me.
if there's something you want to see or something you'd like to see, like I'm more than open to suggestions.
Oh God, I'm gonna have you building some shit you should never build.
Within reason, like I don't want to build anything that's dangerous or classed as a weapon, because
Yeah, we can't. We're in Australia, you know. We'll go straight to jail.
it is dangerous. It goes beyond fun, and it goes to not so much fun.
Yeah, well, I was gonna put a grappling hook on. I'm building a bull bar for my Vitara, and I was gonna put a grappling hook there,
Like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, no. So like you're stuck in a muddy situation. There's quite a hill. You don't want to walk up it. You fire the grappling hook, goes around a tree or whatever, and then you just the winch hooks onto that. So it fires that, and it's attached to the winch, and then you just winch yourself in. Yeah. Right. So I'm gonna die that way somehow. But I was just gonna use like a cylinder and gunpowder.
Please discourage Harry.
Don't. Let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the part 2 of this section. Yeah, pretty much. We just love doing this, and people responded, and now we have to make a video all of a sudden.
Feel free to like and subscribe, guys. I know it sounds like a bit of a grab, but I guess it keeps.
No, I was literally going to bait you into that.
It's this is something I know definitely I do. I do it for passion, and I enjoy it. And it's interesting to be able to share it and just to see the positivity and see the interest it generates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's something I'm happy to put time in to share. But if you guys like seeing it, let us know.
It's cool to just see people getting involved in the community and just enjoying what we're doing. Like and subscribe, guys. God, that's the cringiest thing ever. I hate when people do that. But you did it in quite a humble way.
But it does help.
It does help. So like all of this dumb shit is literally going to be for mine.
I don't dumb shit on my channel.
No.